Good evening and welcome. Tonight on One, we are tackling the serious issue of sizeism and stereotypes displayed throughout our world today.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are One, the show that brings to light serious issues that affect us all and need to be put right. I'm your host, Ishleen, and this week's special guest is Professor Holmes, an ex-teacher and now a well-known lecturer on issues of child, adolescence and psychology. Now, thanks for taking the time to join us tonight, Professor.
It's a pleasure. It's an honour to be here.
Okay. Now, also tonight, for everyone watching, is the new inclusion of our live Twitter feed, which will be going on the iPad. We'll be reading some of your comments throughout the show, so if you want to get involved, hashtag your tweets with One Sizeism. So don't forget that, guys. Now, Professor, let's get straight into it. Why does the issue of sizeism and stereotypes resonate so closely to you?
Well, during my time as a teacher, I saw many children crippled with self-esteem issues and they were unable to be happy in their own skin. This angered me and I wanted to do something about it. The issue of sizeism and stereotypes is so deeply rooted within our society. It is so hard to change. And it is therefore up to our upcoming teachers to know how to deal with these issues of bullying in the schoolyard.
Yeah, so I'm sure most of us will know what stereotypes are, but what exactly is sizeism?
Well, sizeism is the issue of discriminating people according to their size, and this could be their height or their weight.
Okay, well, actually something that comes to mind that has been in the news headlines in Melbourne recently was that the St Kilda football player that set alight a dwarf at their Mad Monday celebrations. Yes. Now, here's a short clip for you and the viewers to bring you up to date on this issue.
St Kilda's Mad Monday celebrations are under the spotlight after players were accused of setting a dwarf entertainer on fire. Saints players were celebrating the first day of their off-season at a South Melbourne pub where two men had been hired as entertainment. Players allegedly began lighting each other's clothes on fire before one turned his attention to performer Blake Johnston.
The player went behind my friend, got one of those gas lighters that you light up a stove, and basically lit him up. Part of his shirt and pants got on fire, and after that, someone put it out. I mean, in my line of work, we do things that cross a certain line and boundary, but this is beyond. I mean, this is probably adventures onto criminal kind of stuff.
Yes, I had heard about this terrible situation and it makes me very angry. For starters, it has somehow become commonplace that dwarves are made to be a circus act that we can point and laugh at.
Okay.
Now, these people, they're living with a condition that they did not put upon themselves. They were born with this condition. Yeah. And they don't need to go through life with people ridiculing them for the way that they look.
Definitely. Very well said, Professor. I agree 100%. Now, another story in the headlines recently has been that of the new 2013 normal Barbie doll. Now, this doll is made to realistic proportions of an everyday woman.
Yes.
Do you think having this new doll compared to the old one is a good thing for our children, Professor?
It sure is. Okay. I'm happy for this change, actually. I believe it could have come 63 years earlier with the original doll.
Yeah.
But, now or never, it is just... even though it's just a doll, when our children play with these Barbies, they notice that they have a small waist, thin, long legs and large breasts.
Yep.
Now, I remember in my own high school, in maths, we did a activity on comparing the proportions of the old Barbie doll to an average Australian woman. Now, we found that the proportions were extremely unrealistic, and in fact, a woman with this body shape would not be able to survive.
Wow, very interesting stuff there. Now, I know personally my child loves playing with their Barbie dolls, but I sometimes do wonder, giving her and letting her play with these things, is it giving her a materialistic view on the world?
Well, I believe our whole world has a materialistic view on people. And that's why this issue of stereotypes and sizeism is coming up. We spend our days judging people on the way they look, the way they dress, and how we perceive them. So the media is to blame for this.
Do you mind elaborating further on the media point?
Well, all media portrays men and women in particular ways that results in us thinking that we should all look like that. Now, this idea is in fact models. We all can't be models and we all shouldn't be.
Okay, yeah.
All different body types and shapes need to be celebrated. I took the liberty of bringing in some magazine clippings
Great.
that I think show what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, let's have a look at these.
Excellent. So this is Jennifer Love Hewitt. Now, she's looking fabulous here and good on her. She's obviously worked hard for this body.
Definitely.
But the thing that I kind of don't agree with, this article, the name is My Hot Body, How You Can Get It Too. Now, the whole purpose of this article is showing how she stays in shape, but then it's also telling everyday women how they can look like her too.
But I think what's important to remember is even if people do these steps, it's not a given that people are going to look like her. That's her body. She's worked hard for it and tries to maintain it, but that's not going to work for everyday women.
Not everyone is going to end up looking like this.
Definitely
It's
important to remember that.
Now, an example of a male. This is Ryan Seacrest at the beach, just having a swim, and a paparazzi's taken a photo of him. Now, the article is called Man Candy of the Week, and they talk in there about his hot body. Now, it's important to remember that men have the same self-esteem issues as women.
It's not just women, yeah.
Exactly. They feel the need to have muscles and abs and be tanned and be something that women look at and adore. And I wonder if he'd be Man Candy of the Week if he was 4 sizes bigger than what he is in this picture.
I would say probably not.
Probably
I think
not.
most of you would agree. The last one?
And last one, this is Ralph Lauren, an advertisement for Ralph Lauren, which we all know is a very common brand.
Yeah.
Now, the model here looks amazing. She's got perfect skin, perfect dress, perfect hair, and very thin body. And she's obviously dressed in expensive clothing and jewellery. Now, it is important to admire models' beauties at times, but when children and young girls are seeing the same thin, beautiful ladies on every single advertisement, they start to wonder, why can't I be a model? Why don't I look like her?
Or how can I look like her?
Exactly. And it's not about us all looking like models. We all can't look like this. And it's also important to remember that Photoshop and makeup artists and hairstylists are being used. And we don't have Photoshop in everyday life.
Definitely. Thank you for bringing those in. That's been great. So, I guess bringing all these issues together, how do you think we can abolish the issue of sizeism and stereotypes?
Well, that's not an easy question to answer, but
I do sometimes ask hard questions.
But I personally believe that it all starts with children and our education system.
Yeah.
This is why I teach higher education, because I want to make sure that our future teachers are equipped with the skills to teach our children these delicate issues in the correct manner, to dispel these stereotypes before they even begin. This in turn will create less bullying in the schoolyard and will hopefully reduce the amount of depression and self-esteem seen in our children.
Hopefully, great stuff there. Oh, we've just had a viewer comment on this issue, and it applies with actually what you're saying, so let's go to this. Andrew Jakubowicz says that education forms the most important investment a society can make in its future in terms of its economy, its culture, and its social order, which pretty much highlights what you were saying before.
Yes.
Now, thank you, Andrew, for joining in the live Twitter feed. Now, guys, anyone else that wants to join in, as we said before, hashtag One Sizeism to get involved. So, Professor, do you think education in the past and present has, I guess, failed to address these issues of sizeism and stereotypes?
Well, yes, they have failed. We've seen increased bullying, in particular cyberbullying, in our schools, and also higher suicide rates in our young children.
Very sad.
However, this is not the teacher's fault. It is an extremely touchy subject, and in the past it has been swept under the rug due to problems and anxiety being caused in both teachers and students.
Okay, yeah. So you say this, but I guess what do you think needs to be changed in education to deal with these stereotype and sizeism issues?
Well, it first comes down to educating our student teachers, as I previously said. Parents also need to be included in this issue to be on the lookout for signs of any uneasy behaviour that's occurring in their children.
Yeah.
So I ask you as a parent, Ashley, what would you like to be seen done?
It's usually me asking the questions, but we'll go with it. I guess as a parent personally, I believe, it's such a big thing to monitor your child's use of technology. So you know exactly what they're doing in the online world and you're aware of it. And I guess you can do this I do this by having the computer in the main lounge room and only allowing my child to be on the device for a certain amount of time during the day. And I think parents need a continuous communication with teachers to ensure that they know any issues that have arisen and how to tackle these issues, because it's important to tackle them at the very start. In my home, we have an open relationship with our children. We make it very clear that they can come to us with any issue, and I believe that teachers should also implement this strategy with all students to ensure that any child that is experiencing anxiety, self-esteem or depression issues don't go unnoticed and get the help that they need.
I agree that it is not only the teacher's responsibility, but as you said, also the parents' job to stay in contact with the school.
Very well said there, yeah. So from tonight's discussion, bringing it all together, I think it's safe to say that we both agree that the issue of sizeism and stereotypes is evident in our society today. And although it is an extremely touchy and difficult issue to erase, it will hopefully be tackled in the near future.
Yes, hopefully.
That's it for tonight, folks. Thanks again, Professor, for dropping by and chatting with me and everyone else out there about this serious issue. I think we have all been enlightened tonight, so thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. See you all next week to explore the issue of mullets. To do it or not to do it. See you next week, guys.